Hey everybody, welcome to week 3, day 2. This is our second day talking about your new project, the kurinuki vessel. Before I jump into that though, I do want to mention that the animals that were brought in last week are now being fired, and there will be information about how to come in and glaze them coming up tomorrow. So in case you were wondering where your animals were and what stage they were at, they're being fired right now. The first firing, the bisque firing. Okay, so on the next clean page in your notebook, please, again, make sure you're being sequential about this. Please write up at the top, week 3, day 2, kurinuki vessel. The things we're going to accomplish today, we're going to review yesterday's notes. We're going to do an overview of your steps for today. There's a demo on how to prep your clay for starting the project, and then some work time, and then you're going to submit a progress picture by 10 p.m. So first, the pop quiz. See if you can answer some questions about some pots. I'm going to show you some vessels. I'm going to show you. So see if you can answer what type of vessel is it and what type of aesthetic is it. And you can feel free to look back at your notes from yesterday to help you with these answers. So first, what kind of vessel is this? And what kind of aesthetic is this? So you should have said a chawan because it's wider than it is tall, which makes it a bowl. And it's a very clean aesthetic because lines are straight, lip is level, everything is balanced and symmetrical. So it's very, very clean. How about these forms, these vessels? What are they? What type of vessel? And what type of aesthetic? The answer, they are yunomi. And the aesthetic is wabi-sabi. The walls are a little bit wavy. The lip is a little bit wavy. Things are just a little bit wonky, more like something you might find in nature. Now, what type of vessel is this? And what type of aesthetic is this? That's right. This is a yunomi. It is a cup. It is taller than it is wide. And it is a very clean aesthetic. The lip is very flat. The walls are very symmetrical. Everything is neat and not imperfect. What type of vessel is this? This should be a real easy one. These are mugs. And the aesthetic that we see here is pretty clean. Things are level, things are neat, things are straight, things are gently curved. It's not all crazy and wabi-sabi. What type of vessel is this? And what type of aesthetic is this? If you said chawan, you are correct. And if you also said clean aesthetic, you are also correct. So it's a chawan because it's more of a bowl shape. It's wider than it is tall, and it's a very clean aesthetic. The lip is very flat. The walls have gentle but straight curves. Everything is very neat. One other little new word that I want to teach you, and you don't have to write it down, but I think it's kind of interesting. See those gold lines on this chawan? So that indicates that this thing was broken at one point, and then someone repaired it by using kintsugi. Kintsugi is a Japanese word that refers to the repairing of a broken object so that by repairing it, you're making it more beautiful than it was before it was broken. So they use this special golden glue. It's epoxy with gold dust in it, and they repair it, and they believe that the work is actually more beautiful after having these flaws of being repaired. So that's kintsugi, just kind of an interesting additional Japanese side note. The Japanese are really strongly interested in the flawed nature of life and humanity, and believing that their works of art should reflect that, which I think is a very healthy way of looking at the world. Finally, what part of a pot are we looking at right now? It's on the bottom. It is a foot. This is a foot ring. This might be similar to what you make on the bottom of your chawan or the bottom of your yunomi or the bottom of your mug. It will be a requirement that there is some kind of foot on the bottom of your pot. It does not have to look like a foot ring, but it is one option. All right, so on that new clean piece of paper, I'd like you to write your steps for today. So please pause the video and write down these 6 steps. Great. So first you're going to use your wire cutter to slice a 1.5 inch thick chunk of clay from the block of clay that you have in your bag. Please don't use any more clay than this. Don't cut a block that's thicker than this because of the fact that we still have at least 2 more projects to go. And I don't want you to not have enough clay to do those last few projects. So just 1 inch or 1.5 inches thick, and then seal up that bag again so that it doesn't dry out. Take that 1.5 inch thick slab that you cut and wedge the heck out of it so there's no air bubbles and it's mixed really nicely. Then you're going to take that wedged chunk of clay and you're going to tap it on your tabletop and roll it until it is a solid cylinder. And that is going to become the formation or the foundation of what your vessel will be for this project. So in a moment, I'm going to tell you how big to make this cylinder, depending on if you want to make a yunomi or a mug or a chawan. And so hang tight for that, because that is really important, the measurements that you're going to need. But then once you've made your solid clay cylinder, the shape and size and width that you need it to be, please put it back on your tray. Put it in a bag that is puffed up and left slightly open because we want this solid chunk of clay to get leather hard for tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day we'll actually start carving. Then, once you have your chunk of clay on its tray in a bag that's partially open, snap a photo of that so I can see that it's in its bag, and then submit that for 20 points by 10 p.m. tonight. So it's a really quick process. Get it done right now so that you don't have to worry about it later today. Okay, so actually don't do it right now because you're going to do some sketching. So underneath where you just wrote those steps, please draw this solid cylinder shape and write these dimensions. If you are going to make a yunomi, the solid clay cylinder that you make today should be approximately 4 inches tall and 3 inches wide. All right, please draw that and write those dimensions in your notebook. If you want to make a chawan bowl, your clay cylinder should be approximately 3 inches tall and 4 inches wide. So it's kind of the opposite of the yunomi. So the yunomi should be taller than it is wide. The chawan should be wider than it is tall. So please sketch a picture of this and write the dimensions. Finally, if you want to make a mug for this project, the cylinder you make should actually be teardrop shaped. And I'm going to show you how to do that in the demo if that's confusing to you. And your dimensions, please sketch this and write the dimensions. It should be approximately 4 inches tall, approximately 3 inches across at its narrowest, and approximately 3.5 inches wide at the widest part of the top. And that's to account for the fact that a mug needs a handle. And you're going to be carving the handle from this clay block as well as you're carving the actual main part of the mug too. We're not going to be adding a handle onto the clay by scoring and slipping. You're going to be carving it from the clay that's already there. So that's why you need that extra little added bit of width to be able to account for the fact that the handle is going to stick out. So sketch this shape. Write the dimensions, please. Okay, here's your demo. I want you to watch really closely what I'm doing. I'm going to show you how to make each of those shapes. Please remember, you only have to choose one. So if you want to make a yunomi, just make your solid cylinder for a yunomi. If you want to just make a chawan bowl, then just make the shape for the chawan. But I'm going to show you all three so you know how to do all three. You're going to start with your block of clay. I have a huge block of clay in front of me because I have to make 3 shapes from my clay. You are not going to have this much clay in front of you, but that's okay because you only have to make 1 chunk of clay. So get your wire cutter and cut yourself a slab of clay that's approximately 1.5 inches thick. Again, if you're off by a little bit, it's okay. It's not super duper ooper precise, and that's okay. We're going to be a little wobby-sobby. Wedge it really, really well. Make sure that there's no air bubbles. Make sure it's mixed really well. Then you're going to pat it and roll it and tap it on your wedging cloth at your house, and you're going to roll it until it takes on the shape that you need it to be in. So I'm just trying to remember what I did here. I think this is the chawan, right? 4 inches across, 3 inches up. So this is the beginning shape for the chawan bowl. So once I've made it, put it on my tray, putting it in a bag, loosely covering it. I do want to let some air in there, snap a picture, and then just let it be for tomorrow. We want it to get leather hard overnight. Second option, this must be the you know me. Again, I'm going to cut myself an 1.5 inch thick slice of clay. Again, you can use a ruler. You do have a ruler in your swag bag. But again, if you want to just kind of eyeball it, that's fine. Wedge it up really well. That's really, really important. Tap it on your tabletop so that it starts to take on the taller you know me shape. So it's going to mean more rolling, because rolling stretches the clay out. You still need to tap the bottom, tap the top so that it flattens out. But you're going to probably be doing a lot more rolling of the clay on its side to make it a little bit taller. And it's okay as you're rolling it if it starts to get kind of a sunken spot up at the top. You can see mine is kind of sunken in the middle. That's okay, because that's going to get carved away. Yeah, so don't worry so much about that. This is a you know me. It's 3 inches wide, 4 inches tall, solid chunk of clay. This is going to be put on your tray, be put in your bag, leave that bag puffed open a little bit so some air can get in there, snap a picture. And then, if that's what you want to make, set it aside. Your third and final option is the mug. So again, I'm going to cut an 1.5 inch thick slab of clay. Make sure you've sealed up your good clay that's left in your bag. Really important that that does not dry out. Wedge it. I'm sorry my camera shakes every time I wedge. And then do the same thing you did with the you know me. Roll it so it becomes just kind of a basic cylinder. Tap the top, tap the bottom, get it to be approximately 4 inches tall. So it's going to start just like the you know me. And then to make it more of the mug shape, if you make the palms of your hands take on kind of a V shape and then pack the clay, so it's in that V shape, your clay will get kind of a spine on it, kind of that teardrop shape that I mentioned. And that is what you need to give you the basis for where to carve your handle. So that teardrop shaped spine that comes off of one side. So it should be 4 inches tall, 3 inches wide across the narrow part, 3.5 inches wide across the longer part. That's going to be the formation, the foundation of your mug. So put that on a tray, loosely bag that, let that get leather hard, snap your picture, submit that, let it sit until tomorrow. Okay? I think that was me saying, remember, you're only having to do one of these shapes, not all three. All right. So just to recap what you're doing today, you're cutting an 1.5 inch thick chunk of clay from your block. Seal up your bag afterwards. Wedge that chunk of clay, shape it according to whatever kind of vessel you want to make. Loosely bag that solid shape so it can get air overnight, and then snap a picture. That is worth 20 points by 10 p.m. That's it. Message me on Schoology if you have any questions, and have fun.